The devil's in the details, and the details of Harrison Ford's complicated relationship with Brad Pitt during the creation of their 1997 movie, The Devil's Own, have been revealed. And according to the Indiana Jones star, he may have been to blame for the quote-unquote feud.
The Devil's Own with Brad Pitt, which I also think is a really good movie, although we had a real hard time making it.
In a recent interview with Esquire, Harrison Ford revealed he and Brad Pitt had quite a tough time creating The Devil's Own because the actors just couldn't agree on the script. Even after multiple rewrites, neither Pitt nor Ford could agree on the script in time for filming to start. Brad wanted to stay with his point of view, and Harrison wanted to stick with his own, which undoubtedly made the writing process complicated. Harrison had wanted his character, a New York police officer, to be as complex as Brad's character, an IRA assassin acting as Harrison's character's house guest. Harrison told Esquire, "I wanted a complication on my side so that it wasn't just a good and evil battle." But Harrison's need for more complication with his character received some pushback because that meant more script revisions. The only way Harrison could think of getting his way and making his character as complex as Brad's was by working with the writers to come up with a scene. Well, the scene where Ford's character witnesses his partner doing something illegal and he has to decide to report it. But even though Harrison had worked with a writer, it wasn't script ready for filming. So a lot of the film was created on the go.
So we had to start shooting without a full script.
One thing they did manage to sort out, not without some back and forth though, was picking the director. That was another decision Harrison took on when he decided to bring in Alan Pakula, the director he had worked with for the 1990 mystery film Presumed Innocence. Even though they struggled to agree on who would direct the movie, Brad somehow agreed to work with a director he had never worked with before. Even though Brad agreed with Alan being the director, it doesn't mean The Devil's Own went on to be his favorite project ever. In fact, he was quite critical of the movie-making process, telling Newsweek, "I don't know why anyone would want to continue making that movie. We had nothing." He also said it was the victim of studio head Mark Canton not caring about how unprepared they were and still wanting to make the movie. Harrison also agreed that it was a difficult movie to make, but he wasn't about to walk away from the project like Brad was, until a studio head told him that if he left, he would owe them $63 million. The box office figure that was promised to foreign territories based on Brad starring in the movie.
How difficult was the Irish accent?
Certainly it's not my strong point.
Brad did go on to describe the process as a good schooling for him as a young actor and filmmaker.
Socially speaking.
Not only did Brad learn a whole new accent for the movie, because his character was from Belfast, in Northern Ireland, which Pitt joked that Ford wasn't too impressed by on their first meeting. Brad also learned that throwing money at problems was ludicrous and didn't bring about the results they wanted any faster.
I need that money, Tom.
Brad's criticism wasn't just for the studio head's stubbornness or how much money was thrown at the problems of the film, but he called it downright irresponsible filmmaking, if he could even call it that, he said to Newsweek. Because Harrison and Brad couldn't agree on the script in time, they had to start shooting without one. Yeah. So the entire movie, according to Brad, was made up on the fly. The shoot was supposed to be about 3 months, but ended up taking 7 and causing a lot of pressure, which Brad says was ridiculous. It could be because he received more money for the movie than Brad Pitt did. Pitt signed on to the movie for a reported $12 million payday, while Harrison signed on for $20 million. There have been rumors that the wage gap caused tension between the stars, who already couldn't agree on the first step of the filmmaking process. And especially with Brad saying he was told his name was used to market to foreign territories with the promise of a high payday in those places, it's not hard to believe he may have been salty about getting paid less.
I would be happy to work with him again. I think it's a good film.
Harrison, on the other hand, recognizes how difficult and complicated it was to make the movie, but he did like it very much. Despite all the bumps in the road, Harrison was proud of the work he did with Brad on the film. So is the feud over? Despite the obvious complications that went into creating The Devil's Own, Harrison was able to recognize that it all boiled down to differing opinions, but that he may have imposed his opinions and point of view a lot, which he says is fair to say that that's what Brad felt during the pressuring process. And Harrison made it clear that he admires Brad as an actor and as a person, calling him a wonderful actor and a really decent guy in his Esquire feature. And that admiration was shared by Brad too. We're glad these two were able to sort it out, and now that enough time has passed, they may even be able to work on another project together again.